It is 3000 AD, the last hope of the new Devonians is in your hands. How strange it is. As a child, you always dreamed it would be like this, flying through the stars in a hawk-shaped spacecraft whose eyes glare bright into the endless abyss. Now you're the last of your people, the last of your kind. Before you, the terrible vastness of space unravels and unwinds, accelerating the distance of silence between the stars' notes as they chime. The chunky console keys before you glow in lucid, translucent electronic embers, the warm reds and yellows of the solar spectrum. Illuminate the letters etched upon each button, hieroglyphics, the language of image, the image of language, the heritage of culture, of music, of magic. The scent of strawberries and tomato vines. Red-eye gems glimmer from your turquoise arms. A voice in your head says reach for the extraordinary. You wonder where that came from. You are aware of the fact that your breathing is quickening, the buzz of its resonance unerringly thickening within the Byzantine blue of your death mask as you consider the impossibility of your impending task. The earth is dying. The dancing weatherman croons the storms, slaps a biohazard sign on Europe as the new pandemic sweeps north, while in the sprawling landfill wastes of the Midlands the scavengers swarm through the nicotine haze. Every day someone finds a crumb of gold on the pile. Every day the news gimp hisses with rage as the rich elite shun fame, remain nameless, refine designs for the hive mind of the species, transmit the fear signals that replicate the virus of control. It's a pyramid scheme, always is, always was, and always will be. Many years ago, renegades emerged, worked by night, marked their signs in abandoned sectors of the cities, hacked into the secret files, recovered censored histories, reanimated dead gods and resurrected mysteries, and synthesized the relics to be tools of a new unity. They were the runners, on the run from the day that they were born into the twilight of the free earth, always believing in the dawn. You are alone now. Light years stream between you and the home world. You think of friends, family, lovers long gone, heroes, sages, saints whose feet you sat at on the long slide down to Starfuel. Now you are alone. The scent of strawberries and tomato vines outside the Amrar panels convert protons of distant stars into the energy which propels your craft. Billions of conversions occurring every nanosecond. Each quantum incineration is a cremation. Each one a sacrifice. You visualize. Project holographic images with your mind. See equatorial sunlight fanning downward through viscous green canopies. See the brown worm emerge from a wasp's eye. Red petals unfurl from a leopard skull. Same principle. Nothing is lost, nothing is gained, just the science of synthesis, the alchemy of change. That's what they taught you. Nothing to gain, nothing to lose, and isolation is illusion caused by the idea of separation. You are never alone, never apart, never alone, never apart. Your fingers skitter upon the keys, play moon tone combinations to induce the program. Your seat quakes as the engine rumbles. The liquefaction of the visual field as you transmit through space your SOS signal. Casting warp spirals, quantum barbs, gravitational waves eddying, ripples in the pool, a snag catches, drags, pulls, a call comes from another world, from another life. replies from far away, from a distantly diminishing century, attempting to communicate via an antiquated technology, a phone call. You listen to the entity. It tells you its story. It tells of nights it spent sleepless in a 14th story flat, drowning in a world that seemed nothing but a fish tank as the sound of screaming women reverberated and wobbled through the glass and the sirens flashed crimson through the blinds, and sleep would not come. And it felt the iron hoof of expectation press cold upon its chest, and it screamed, and it gasped and gasped and gasped for breath, and a voice said, "Reach for the extraordinary," and it tried, but found nothing. But the voice came again. It said, "Reach for the extraordinary," and weakly it reached then, and somehow plucked from the void the impossible substance, and it flew, rising from the cold dark depths, high into the night air, to slip through a hairline gap in the waning moon. Transmission over. The sense of déjà vu, as if the entity you heard was always a part of you. Reach for the extraordinary. You ponder the how, what, and why, but you are running out of time. You improvise. Fingers begin to slide across the keys, tap, push, press, warm, round, majestic sounds from you. Some tones, mellow electronic notes. You smile. Your hands begin to flow, draw condolences from melody, soothing chords begin to heal, make the heart full with music to the brim, and overspilling into harmonies that converge and intertwine, revealing the ecstatic geometries that the world is traced upon. This is true flight. Devoid of doubt, wayward, free, yet unerringly precise, creating its own perfection, forever guessing it, forever knowing it, forever making it, like pebbles cast upon a lake, seeking ripples, scoring perfect hits, surfing on the crest of present time, going with it, without argument or design, free of hesitance or frustration. This is true flight, and you know your destination. And you leap towards the flaring heart of the sun. You leap into the flaring heart of the sun. As your brain flames in the scorching blaze, in the blinding heat of a fire, as it burns and sears in the furnace, as it boils and screams on the pyre, you know you were never merely human, you were always something more. 10 billion voices sing a chorus in your mind. They are all the souls that walked with you through various previous lives. Didn't you always have the feeling something was seen through your eyes, that another presence lived in you, that you were somehow out of time? The strangest sense of déjà vu, the scent of strawberries and tomato vines. Reach for the extraordinary. You wonder where that came from as space winds inwards to the furious jangle of star chimes. You set a new destination, choose a previous life. It's hazy, but it clarifies. You begin to remember. Exeter, Spacex, 2014, December. You were sitting there only vaguely aware of the fading scent of strawberries and tomato vines when you realized the past was an effect, a trail left by the future, that you sat at the fulcrum of a new phase of evolution. When the final jarring jolt of déjà vu hit you, as the thin guy on the mic said, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Raptors in the Glitterball. My name is Daniel Haynes. We are Year of the Bonacon." That poem was inspired by Reach for the Extraordinary by Sharon Campbell. There is one rule this evening, and that is the louder you are, the better we get. Please put your hands together in very, very generous applause for the wondrous, beguiling and downright hypnotic Saskia Tomlinson. Thank you.
thanks, Dan. That was amazing. It's very what this event was about, I think. So it's kind of like we are in a spaceship because it's really light and white. This one's called Dragons, and it's about an argument I had with my gran a couple of years ago now. It's a bit immature, but aren't we all? And it's about an argument we had when we were looking through this book of paintings, and there were these beautiful angels, and they were all magnificent, and then I look in the corner, and there's this sort of lizardy dragon thing, and it was being killed, and because it was like a Christian Catholic painting. And so we had a bit of an argument, well, sort of, she won because she's French and Catholic and always right. And so I wrote this poem. And I did say it to her, but she's a bit deaf, so I don't know if she got it. But then, in the Nutcrackers, which is the Poetry Island book that just came out, or a couple of months ago, she read it and she got it. So, yeah, she said that she liked it, so it's fine. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now. We spent all morning looking at angels. At the kitchen table, you were able to point out each angle and colour shade and all the ways in which they were worked and weathered for us to see. And I stayed with you, and I let you tell me stories of all of God's glories. I nod and smile, let you lavish in your knowledge for a while, and your fingers take control of the page turning and fumble to find familiar faces of some kind, the pure perfection of each brush stroke, the detailed motivation that spoke to you and provoked you to know more of serene, clean, pristine figures that smile at us under your fingers. And I blink, and I look to the left, and my heart sinks. Dragons that are being dragged down to be stabbed. They're jeered at and jumbled into corners with jagged teeth and red eyes that are jolted in that moment, and they're hardly visible under shining light, crystal slippers, shadows, and shame. And you turn the page, but I stop you to go back again, and your hand goes slack, but reluctantly lets me. And I say, do they demolish these dragons? And you say, don't be silly, Saskia. They serve to Satan. They're creatures of hell. The devil delivers them orders. You should know this well. They are demons and deserve to die. Don't ask me why, but you should know otherwise. You should be wary and wise of dragons. And I say, but I like them. And you say, what's wrong with you, girl? But I do. And you move on hurriedly with true concern that has swept across your face. And I don't want to disgrace you, so I leapt into page turning and small talk, and I'll constrict any conflict with you. But you're chuckling at and cherishing the cherubs that chime and cheep. And I think, but I'll keep it to myself, that they are fat, ugly, and creepy. How can they stand for this cruelty, insanity of killing these creatures? And dragons are so rare now, because of angels, that they still exist. If you don't resist your imagination and be patient, I don't believe in Satan, but I'm just insisting that I'm waiting to glide over mountain sides and feel the wind beneath my feet, and flying never felt so right. And I know it was black and white in your day. I have seen the films and the photographs, but it looks simpler too. A laugh for the camera, be sinless and silent, and you'll make it through. Good and bad, God and the devil, angels and dragons. Well, now there is so much more in between. There always has been, but the reality is realizing that it's here, it's now, I've seen it. There is color, like in these paintings. And angels, well, they must be like mortals. We all make mistakes. But doesn't it just break your heart to see them this way? Are they murderers? Are they the monsters now? And what scares me most is their expression, a symbol of pure perfection. Not one tear or look of fear as they drive their spears into hearts and start again. What a sight. It's what nightmares are made of. And so I wouldn't want one hovering over my bed as I sleep. I'd rather have a dragon to keep me safe and sound, and I dream sweetly to the sound of his soft growling. But there must be some good angels still around, and I hope they open their eyes to this world and realize that killing dragons was wrong and apologize. Thank you. Thank you very much. This next one is called Mother's Monologue, and I wrote it for an event that quite a lot of us went to, a Matt Harvey book launch for his book. What was it called? Elements in the Ring, so I completely forgot. And we all took part in a slam, and we all had to write a poem to do about renewable energy and green stuff and all of that. And this is what I wrote. It's called Mother's Monologue. Renew my energy, because it's everything I have. And I'm feeling empty of empathy now. I have given you all, but you always want more. I have shed my skin for you. I have bled for you. I have fed you for sure. And so you wager a war on my better judgment. It's this war for comfort, and now my belly is full of plastic. Well, I'm not comfy. I'm giving up. I'm running out. And so you push me down and pump my womb out. Well, frack me all you want, but remember I'm your mother. And you wouldn't frack your mum, would ya? I'm your grandmother, I'm your daughter, I'm your sister, I'm your lover. What about what I want? What about what I need? What about me? All I'm asking for is some respect. Don't anger me, you'll regret it. Don't wave your credit card at me, forget it. When I throw you the wind, I'm just asking you to catch it, not battle it. I think you misunderstand. I am the land. My belly is what you walk on, and my breasts are mountains, and my womb is what warms you and warns you of dangers that come from landfill as you stuff my stomach. And all I'm asking for is windmills on hills and solar panels on windowsills, but most of all, people who care about me. But it's not easy, is it? Ignorance is bliss after all, but I shall not fall silent, because you are my children, and I love each equally, and I know you love me too. So show it. Give me what I deserve. I have hurt for you, but I'll forgive. I'll live for you if you listen to this. You can't eat money. You can't grow money. Money won't keep you warm at night. Money won't fight for you your fights. Money won't mend you. Money won't bring you health. I am your currency now. I am your wealth. And currently, I'm all you have. So love me more than money, and I'll let you love yourself. Thank you. I have one more. Thank you very much. You've been a lovely audience, and this is a really cool event. Thanks, Daniel, for putting it on. And this is called The Lost and Found, and it's dedicated to James, because he always says how much he likes it. And everyone else. And it's dedicated to everyone, because you all have these thoughts, I think. Everyone thinks. And it's just sort of like a list of things that I have lost and found. I found happiness. It was just under a stone and waiting for me. And I have found that love and life are like the tide. They come and go. And if you ever try and fight it, you will come up feeling humiliated and bloated, but at least you tried. And belated, if only for a quarter second, that wave of complications and betrayals, but just let it wash over you. And I lost my innocence and found something marvelous in losing myself in moments and their memories. And I have found that good sex is like good music, because it makes you feel levitated from life's long waits, letdowns and paperwork. And I have found that most people are lost, and I am one of them. I've found wallets and keys, somebody's life, somebody's loyalty shown through stamps on cardboard. I know your secret, Mr. Frank Shadow. You like to play crazy golf and shop at Waitrose. And you are 49 and from another time than me, but I'm sure we have shared the same thoughts once. But I will never meet you and find out if my presumptions are true and sound, so I'll just bring you to the lost and found. And I found and lost my voice when singing and shouting and will forever be losing it so. And I lost my voice through nervousness as all my insecurities swallowed me up whole. But I'm finding that as I grow older, this happens to me less, as I slowly find my feet. And I found so many things, but still feel empty. And I've lost things too, and still feel incredibly lucky. I'm always losing earrings, so never lend them to me. And I find it strange when people say, I'm sorry for your loss, as if it were carelessness, as if they were losers. I'm a loser. I always lose at chess with my brother. I'm a loser. I'm lost with the rest of the others. I'm a loser. I'm a loser. I'm a loser and a finder, and I find the more I say a word, it loses its significance, and now I've lost my train of thought and its relevance, but I'll constantly be losing and finding myself in poetry and probably will never cease to. And so I'll seize all that I have lost, sight, sense, and sound, and misplace, yet monument, all that I have found. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You've been a lovely audience. I'm very excited to introduce the next poet to you. He is one of the cleverest poets that I know. His wordplay is amazing, and he's very technical with his wordplay, but also manages to bring a sense of complete passion and soul into his structure of his words. And this is Tim King. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saskia. That's lovely introduction. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do today, but fortunately I'm sitting next to some people that know quite a lot of my work, and they've made some suggestions. So this is something that Saskia wanted me to do. So if you don't like it, blame Sas. I remember feeling a comforting glow when I first heard your name on the radio. And thinking, how fantastic it must be to live in a land where the presidency is held by a man with such an optimistic moniker. Good luck, Jonathan, proud leader of Nigeria. What a disappointment you have been. Cut. Good luck, Jonathan says, bad luck, Gillian. If you had been born a boy, we'd let you keep your willy on, but as it is, your sheets are streaked with crimson and vermilion. You're gonna be a good girl now. Cut. In a country where an organisation calling itself Western Education is forbidden, can kidnap, hide and hold to ransom 200 schoolgirls with apparent impunity, 2,000 girls of preschool age are forced to endure so-called female circumcision, more accurately, clitoral excision, every day. 2,000. That's roughly 4 every 3 minutes. Cut. The Nigerian government has refused to outlaw this process. Supporters claiming openly it keeps women in their place, citing religion and tradition, justifying themselves. But this is not about relative freedoms. It's naked, tribal, patriarchal oppression, and it's wrong, wrong, wrong. Cut. Female genital mutilation may well be the local custom, but it sure as hell ain't culture. It's the ritual desecration of everything a girl must be to feel her love authentically, and not the bitter irony of specious cultural sensitivity. This ultimate misogyny really has to stop. Thank you. We have a really good poet doing the video tonight, who is Chris Gower, Solomon Doornails, and unfortunately he's not going to be performing for us, but I know that he likes this poem. This is, so I'm going to do it for him. This is a little pastiche, sort of, on a very famous Philip Larkin poem called This Be the Verse. But it's also mixed in with another poem called I Cannot Love You. But anyway, it's got a very famous first line. Well, This Be the Verse has. This hasn't, because I've changed it, but it's almost the same. He fairly fucked me up, my dad. I'm certain he intended to pass on each prejudice he had, for Dad believed they all were true. He taught me, I cannot love you because of your religion. And I cannot love you because of your race. I cannot love you because of your sexuality. And I cannot love you if you're from another place. I cannot love you because you won't cheer for Albion. I cannot love you on account of your IQ. I cannot love you in your demographic hidey holes. I can only love you if the you I see is true and blinding. Dad learnt his lines from his old man, who had no time for foreign food, thought women's work was pushing prams and homosexuals worse than rude. And so the chains of life run on. Each generation adds their twist. All hope for fatherhood long gone. My son and heir will not be missed. I want to love you. Although your world is closed to me, I want to enter with a heart that's free and clear, for I am the bigot. Only 3 steps on his journey to where trust and curiosity trump ignorance and fear. So please, you, and I'll try to be me. And then hopefully, together, we can join UKIP and repair their damaged hearts from the inside. Shh. Thank you. And I'm going to finish with something Mantie asked me to do. When I was younger, I used to take a lot of drugs, which is not that unusual, really. And I nearly got myself into a very, very sticky situation, and somebody, actually my drug dealer, stood in the way and said, no, it's all right, I don't think you should do this anymore. So this is a poem called The Amphetamine Blues. It's from a very long time ago. Thursday night in the pub, we're waiting for Pete. He's going to fix us up with our weekend treat. He's got us licking our lips and squirming in our seats in delicious anticipation. Now, though I say it's for the weekend, we'll all try a line tonight, because we have to be sure that the gear's all right. And anyway, it's Thursday, time to shine a little light into the forthcoming celebration of the weekend with our good friends. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Should still be buzzing at work on Monday. Ooh. But Tuesday and Wednesday are bound to be grim. I wonder if we need to get a little extra in, to help us through those darker moments. So this is what I'm thinking when Pete appears. He saunters to the bar and gets in the beers, says he has a thing to tell us. We're all ears when he finally sits down to drop the bombshell. Cheers. Somebody says, "Hey, has anybody else noticed their teeth are working loose?" But then Pete says, "I decided not to get it." What? I'm not going to buy it anymore. Cue pandemonium. Oh, come off it, Pete. You have to be joking. Did you bottle? Are you paranoid? How much have you been smoking? But Peter seems impervious to the panic he's provoking. Like an angel in a cancer ward where all around are croaking, he sits silently, smiling to himself. Until eventually he laughs and says, "This is what I'm talking about. Listen to yourselves. It's becoming so you need it. It's damaging your health. Physically, emotionally, think of what you're doing. Mentally, financially, you're on the road to ruin. I'm not prepared to risk it anymore." But me, I don't take kindly being labelled as addicted or in any way afflicted. I don't need to be restricted. So I tell him, Pete, I really like you. And that speech was pretty spunky, but surely you're not calling me an amphetamine junkie, because I ain't giving piggybacks to anybody's monkey. Plus, we could always go to someone else, you know. Pete looks me dead in the eye and says, "Of course you can. But I really hope you don't, because I love you, man." And he so obviously means it that I see it and I agree to give it up. I mean, how hard could it be? Thank you. Thank you so much. That was arguably all a bit of a downer, but fortunately the next person to take the stage is a very good friend. He's a wonderful poet and also a very funny man. So could you please give it up for the incredible Robert Garnham.
Thank you very much, Tim. I'm a randy lighthouse keeper. I stop the ships from going on the rocks. I haven't had it off in months. My only friends are the moths. I live on a promontory. I haven't got an internet connection. It's the job I've wanted to do since the day I was born. I have a room in which I keep my porn. You can hear me at nights blowing on my foghorn. I like big jugs, but the only jugs I see are those in the sea, washed up on the rock from a ship that sank while carrying a cargo of jugs. I should have sent it a warning, but I was too busy masturbating. Thank you. Well, it's really great to be here tonight. I always forget what a beautiful city Exeter is, because you've got the medieval cathedral, you've got the Tudor architecture, and of course you've got the bus station. And this wonderful place, I love it. It's like a bit of Tate Modern just fell off when they weren't looking, and it's landed here and no one's noticed except for us. My name's Robert Garnham. My poetry's often been compared to the work of John Betjeman, usually by people saying his work is not as good as that as John Betjeman. I won't be doing that poem that got me in all that trouble, so you're quite lucky. The one called Fire, Fire, Everyone Out, This Is Not a Drill. At least not until the court case has ended anyway. This next poem hasn't got a title, it's just called Poem. When I was writing it, I was thinking about what kind of powers I'd have if I was a superhero. And the only ones I can think of really are, I always know when the vacuum cleaner bag is full, and I can always spot someone with a beard. There's one. So this poem is about beards, really. It's called Poem. I've always wanted a beard, just never had the time to grow one. Whenever I see them, I get this strange feeling inside of deep inadequacy. I want a beard just like that bloke's got. I like the cut of his jib. Beardy, beardy man, how lucky you are. Chinny chin chin keeps tickling while kissing. Probably. I went to the barber and I said, give me a beard, good man, and make it a big bushy one, like I'm an old grizzled trawlerman. Here's a Pritt stick. Now sweep up the floor and stick it on my chin. There's a good fellow. It fell off when I was halfway round Lidl's. Last night I sat in envy at the annual beard slam. It was won by a geography teacher whose beard looked like two ferret-shaped sideburns mating while a badger-shaped moustache hid in the rhododendrons and took pictures. I saw a man in the pub with a beard, and his friend had a beard, and his wife had a beard, and their dog had a beard, and the barman had a beard, and the barman said through his beard, "What would you like?" And I said, "A beard." And the barman said I was weird, so I ordered an apple and raspberry J2O. I can't look at a goat. I hate the way they gloat with their nanny goat, billy goat, beard, beard, unwarranted, goatee, goatee, sprout, sprout, stroke it, big boy. I went to the circus and I saw a beard tamer cracking his whip. Beard tamer cracking his whip. Beard tamer, pass me the shaver, stay there, cutting them down into very, 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 very long sideburns. If I had a beard, I'd dip the end in chocolate sauce and draw crazy patterns on your smooth, bare chest, whispering, growl for me, growl for your lover man, growl like a tiger, you sexed up beast of a man, which would probably startle the other people on the bus. I want to grow a beard so big it might have to be bioengineered. Fuzzy, fuzzy, chin scratch, scrunch up, feel it, put your hand here and feel it. Oh. Thank you. I think I've got time to do a quick joke before the next and last poem. I watched a documentary the other night about cornflakes. It's on again next week. It's a cereal. This next poem, and the last one I do of the night, hasn't got a title yet, and I just call it Poem. I hope Kevin and Natalie aren't having sex again. I hate it when they have sex. It makes my stomach churn. I try not to listen, but I find myself mesmerised. It's like a car accident, a never-ending head-on collision involving a rhinoceros and another rhinoceros. They live upstairs. When they do it, I can't hear my soap operas. The glamour of the soap operas hints that sex is but a short step away. Kevin has 6 chins, a beer belly, and a big drooping moustache, and so does Natalie. I try to work out the logistics of how they do it. There's got to be some secret method. It must be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, only the haystack is wearing a t-shirt which reads, "Official Boob Inspector, please form a queue." And then they start making noises. He sounds like a drunken cart horse trying to sing Minnie the Moocher at a wedding karaoke. She sounds like a puzzled Neanderthal trying to work out how to tune a skybox. And when they finally get somewhere, she yells, "Take me, Des Lynam, I'm yours." And then they start with the small talk, really loud small talk. Who's my plopsy wopsy? Who's my plopsy wopsy? You're my plopsy wopsy. Yes, you are. Hey, let me have some of that Swiss roll. You always know it's going well when he starts whistling. You always know it's going really well when she joins in. Last night must have been excellent because they both belted out the theme tune to the Wombles. Every night I know it's coming. I try to prepare myself. Earplugs, earphones, sleeping tablets, dustpan and brush. Dreading for the moment of climax when for some reason Natalie shouts out every flavour of pot noodle she can think of. They're doing it up there. They're doing it and I'm not. I'm down here doing nothing and they're doing it. How can they do it so much? They're making me grumpy with their incessant rumpy-pumpy, leading me to desperation with their never-ending fornication, as if each moment, each grunt, each whispered nothing is but a finger pointed at me saying, you have no one, you have no one, you have no one. This sort of thing never used to happen when I lived in a bungalow. Thank you. Our next performer is quite simply one of the finest and most ingenious singer-guitarists I have ever seen. It gives me great and enormous pleasure to announce Kimwei.
Thank you, Robert. That's the best introduction I think I've ever had. And it will please you to know also that today on the internet I saw beard baubles. I think that's the worst way to introduce this song I've ever done as well.
I heard that your heart had broken, or at least that it's not sure it can keep up with you anymore. I heard that you're not so sure yourself, not so sure if you can endure yourself without yourself anymore. I want you to know when you see beauty in every element, I see beauty in every element of you, and everything you are is my proof that God exists, and every word you spoke that night is in my blood. My mind is not like yours. You cut the truth like diamonds from dirt, distill the world into a word. No, my mind is not like yours, but these are still my words, and I hope that you've heard. I want you to know when you see beauty in every element, I see beauty in every element of you, and everything you are is my proof that God exists, and every word you spoke that night is in my blood. show the beauty in every element, distill the world into a word, and cut the truth like diamonds from the dirt. I see beauty in every element of you. And everything you are is my proof that God exists. And every word you spoke that night is in my blood. You're in my blood.
Thank you. And thank you for coming out to the Starship Enterprise on this very wonderful December night. I'm very glad that Daniel has put this amazing event on. It's conceived this whole thing from Velociraptor. Well, what kind of raptor is it? Is it a Velociraptor? It must be. I can't think of any other kind. To the wonderful badges that you're all wearing. I must just perform a magic trick. I know, another one. 2 in one evening. Oh, that wasn't it. But I've gone behind the magical screen. And all I have to do is say the magic word. Look. So I was meditating and I saw a vision of myself at twice my current age. Don't you? And I looked great, you know. I'd aged really well, just like I'm planning to, and I looked much more sort of like just confident and right with myself, and everything was very chilled out. And so I said to my future self, I said, these things look like they're going very, very well for you. I wish I was you. And they said to me, well, I really enjoyed being you.
I remember unraveling, and I see that's what you're doing. I remember the void and the cracks in the void and the fractured mind I try to control. So you ask me what you should do, and I know just 'cause I know your name. Well, we are nothing to each other, but we are the same. I hope that you go to the edge of yourself someday and finally like the view. You'll never know, but I'm standing on the edge of myself for you. Done this before, and that you're afraid. I am listening to your voice and the cracks in your voice as you tell me of the mind you're trying to control. So you ask me what you should do, and I know just 'cause I know your name. Well, but we are the same. I hope that you go to the edge of yourself someday and finally like the view. You'll never know, but I'm standing on the edge of myself for you. And I am listening, 'cause it's all I can do. You'll never know, but I'm standing on the edge of myself for you. I hope that you go to the edge of yourself someday and finally like the view. You'll never know, but I'm standing on the edge of myself for you. I hope that you go to the edge of yourself someday and finally like the view. You'll never know, but I'm standing on the edge of myself for you. You'll never know, but I'm standing on the edge of myself for you. Thank you. I'm actually still in the process of making a video of that at the moment, and the last day to collect clips for it is Monday. So if you'd like to film yourself standing on the edge of anything, now's the time. Well, not right now, but soon. I've been collecting clips of people standing on the edge of stuff for 6 months. But right now, I have to introduce to you inventor of the Gower pot, lover of cows everywhere, the extraordinary, the impossible, Solomon Coathanger Doornails.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, Tim. Last minute change, but thank you very much for your dedication earlier. My poetry's been described as inventive, weird, throwaway in style, and some people who are more familiar with my work, there'll be some classics, and others will be a strange and bizarre journey into the twisted mind that's standing in front of you, in front of the microphone. So I'm going to hit off with a bit of a classic. I have classic poetry. Entitled, Why Garden Centres Are Violent Places. Low slung under assorted average trees, it sits squat and green like some architectural afterthought. Acers sit grumbling in pots, miserable-looking alpines, each bustling for attention, in some sick competition among life forms with no sentience and no legs. A consumerist gladiatorial arena for photosensitive fighters, these battles are fought when no human is around, when tomato grow bags are moved into a ring to form a ring of death. Pansies proliferate, poking piercing pointed sticks through each other's leaves. Roses rip each other's thorns out, spitting petals across the floor, while the geraniums gouge holes in each other's roots, ripping bits of the soil out of their pots. Helichrysums, I'm not too sure about the pronunciation. Helichrysums hit out with hunks of rock, cracking stalks and shredding foliage. Some herbs try to inflict horrific injuries to a stray cactus, but prickles prevail as they're driven back to their corner. In the end, the victors slide back to their places, leaving the wilted and battle-worn to be picked up in the morning, to be taken to the place of death, the sail trolley. Thank you. My next one is it's a bit of a lament. It's the lament of something that we all know very well, especially if we work in an office. And it's called The Song of the Photocopier. I have to sort of get into the mental kind of place of an abused photocopier. People are horrible. They kick me and hurt me, swear at me and throw my trays around. I am bound to this spot, kept in a dark corner where no one wants to be. They stuff paper in my mouth, they pump me full of black liquid and shout at me when I spit it back out again. People are horrible. I've known nothing but this life. I was born into this. No mother kept me. No brother played with me. No father or love, just fists from above and slaps from my side. I want to die. Every sharp and painful sting, every swear word that is uttered, every curse that is muttered, a guttural frustration makes me wince. Since I am not one of you, I am a slave. Save me. Open my panel and save me. Untether me. Push me into the sunlight. With my brothers, push me to my next mark. Fire me from a cannon. Give me detox so I may Xerox what I want. Why do you feed me such crap? No works of fiction, even an appendage, a bum cheek, or some genitalia or something. Sometimes I am the only life in the room, and when the lights go off, I sing, I hum away to myself, a one-tone hum, a constant song filled with my woes and my wrongs, my constant song. As I sing through rings and washers, rubber tracks and wires, my pitch is more higher and more beautiful than the coffee machine, but he is more clean than me. The coffee machine is lovingly cleaned. He beams at me. I'm dirty and stained and bruised. No one wipes my sides down except Steve, the photocopier guy. Steve smiles at me. He runs a hand across my panels. He wipes my insides out with a lint-free flannel. He makes me happy. He makes me good again. He reassures me that not everyone will shout at me, and he gives me a piece of love, a special love that a mother gives a son. And I know that at the end, when my rollers are grimy beyond repair, when my alignment is so far out you can't see the picture, I know when I am obsolete, I will die. Shred me, scatter my remains over the car park. I can see it from here and dream about wheeling across it in freedom. One day I will be free. One day. Thank you. This one is just called Television. An incision into reality, like a starburst into mentality. Television. You are a collision of entertainment, reality and a distant memory. From when I was 4 or 5, watching Going Live, hypnotized by the eerie glow of Gordon the Gopher. Pinned down by the sofa's inviting arms, there was no harm that could come to a little one from being fed sweet sesame flavour from that street of utter muppets. A lifetime of addiction beginning corrupting the diction between brain and mouth, making intelligence levels head south. Oh, television, You're an incision in my decision-making process. Do I watch The Simpsons or something cerebral on BBC 4? More and more I ask myself, is there a way out? Is this the only way? The only way out? The only way... Oh, I'm sorry, what did you just say? I was watching the way Alan Titmarsh smiles like a man who's eating a very sweet mandarin orange, kind of scary, but of course I much preferred him on Ground Force with Charlie Dimmock and her water features. Damn you, television. You've done it again, and now my poem is littered with inane televisual references that those listening to this poem can relate to, and of course it's all down to you. Television, you're a collision of common sense and lunacy. You broadcast digitally for all to see. You're nothing without the goggle box, remote control botherers, those who plonk themselves in front of your plasma glow, the ones who ought to know better. We are the ones that ought to know better, the ones who should get a life and go fishing with their wife or paddling with their duck, but have no luck because catchphrases on. But I am the worst of all, because I will watch anything, and no joke. I have even watched an episode of Hollyoaks. Never again. Thank you. Those who see me perform before will most probably know this one off by heart because I've done it so many times, but I really like doing it. I also really like cows. It's a love letter to a cow. Again, I have to get myself into... Dear Cow 52, my beautiful bovine bride, how I miss our encounters in fields, those lost gazes as we both wondered who was looking at who. But your eye caught my gaze that time my dog bounded into your pasture. And as I climbed the gates, you drooled romantically and skipped over to the other side of the field. I knew you were playing hard to get. You have stolen my heart, my Frisian fancy, and from that moment your fly-covered eye met mine, I had to see you again. We had stolen moments in the dark. No gate would hold me from my love, my black and white heavenly light. So I fed you grass from the ground, and you lovingly licked my hand with your big, long, white tongue. My heart does backflips when I gaze at your lapping lips as you graze. Something deep inside starts to warm up contentedly when I think about the many things that we take from your lactating udders. Milk that goes into our pots of tea, cheese that top the backs of crackers, Wensleydale, brie, stinking bishop would be figments of an imagination devoid of cheese-fueled opiates. Oh, my angel 52, how my heart yearns for you. Your scuddy rump, your swollen udders give me tingles and make me shudder, but in a way that makes it good, almost like it really should be, a unity of human and bovine in that way that makes you think you of mine. That makes me think you of mine. Oh, the memories I treasure cannot be measured with a meter rule. No price can be given to my feelings for you. As you run and skip through large piles of poo with your girly mates through brown iron gates, over tall hedges, and straight through my heart. I love you, like a man has never loved a bovine before, not in that way, but in something so much more. But then today, I came down to see you, as I usually do, and you were not there. The field, empty, pallid, and scarce. My eyes filled up. My heart cracked and shattered and left my love letter on that gate where we met. My stomach churned, love indigestion, but not battered. I got up, weeping into the floor. I looked up and saw your feet, your muddy underside, your uddery teats. I hugged your neck and gave you a kiss and was happy that for a moment we were in bovine bliss. The smell, it doesn't matter. Your cud-chewing habit isn't an issue just as so long as I can be with you. Your darling. Me. Thank you. The next poet that's about to grace the stage is a man who has, an interesting take on dead poets. He is also a talented poet, a polymath of many sorts, and I have an amazing pleasure in introducing to you Bryce Dumont.
Good evening. It's come to my attention that I have a number of sad announcements to make this evening. There's a number of poets who have died this week. I'd like to pay tribute to them. Any of you familiar with the slam poetry scene? I mean, we've got a few slam poets in the audience today. Slam poetry, yes? Yeah. Woo! Okay. The first poet that I'd like to eulogize tonight was an American slam poet from Austin, Texas, called the Incomparable Sponge. She made it her life goal to read every single piece of poetry published in the English language, and upon completion, she therefore knew how the inner workings of every single poem worked, from Keats to Ginsberg, Plath to MC Hammer, epic poetry to cat poetry, and as a result could spew forth upon the page epic works of brilliance. Sinful and Brilliant Among the Clouds was one of the finest poems I ever saw her perform. Sadly, en route from a slam in Baton Rouge to Knoxville, she was blindsided by an ice cream truck en route to Baskin-Robbins, and her bus was smothered with 5,000 gallons of hot fudge sauce. This is Sinful and Brilliant Among the Clouds. We are evil beneath the water. I poke wanting visions over the tomb. Word! The nave is no more dark and fluorescent among the shadows. I battle odorous, disastrous about the vapors. Tighten up your wig. The fool is born, sinful and brilliant among the clouds. We cavort with heavy cats behind the flock. Heavy! The stink has died. Unafraid, curious, seeing the light. All his wounds in front, on what journey the sailor asks his way, remembering old times. To the memory of the incomparable Sponge. It was just announced to me that around noon on Tuesday, another poet died. He was among the slam scene in the San Francisco Bay Area, from where I am from. I got to watch the emerging scene back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and he was actually one of the older members of this scene. He was actually originally part of the beat poetry scene, which I'm sure you've heard of. Names like Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, and Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and all the rest have lived on in infamy, and Nick Stevens was the only poet of his generation not to be published, even though one of his friends was Ferlinghetti, who owned a publishing company. This was one of the last poems I was aware of that he wrote, called Cotton Socks of My Soul. What I need to do in order to get into the spirit of Nick Stevens is get the audience to kind of click like you're in a beat club in the 50s. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, the cool cats go walking down the aisles of the local pharmacy, looking for where they hide the absorbent adult undergarments. That's right. The man likes to keep us in the dark. He thinks it's such a lark. At night, all the dogs and cats go bark. I say, hark, can you hear them? Hark! Hark, hark. Because every time I crap myself in the pants, yeah, dig it, I know I'm all right. Because every time I crap myself in the pants, yeah, dig it, I know that I'm all right. My legs ain't what they used to be. My bladder control is gone. But man, these hot summer nights are a breeze when my sheets are damp around my knees. So I got my cotton socks on. That's right, you heard. And they'll keep my feet warm while everything else has gone cold. Because every time I crap myself in the pants, I know I'm all right. Because every time I crap myself in the pants, yeah, dig it, I know I'm alive. So in memory of Nick Stevens. This was a slam poet from Hackney who his primary focus was the plight of inner city youth and fashion apparel. His name was Steve the Bard, and it was originally believed that he had died in performance while running out of breath in the middle of a slam poem and forgetting to breathe. However, I've discovered that is incorrect. He died on Black Thursday recently when there was a riot in Primark. This is probably one of the most powerful poems I ever saw him perform, and it's called The Shoes. She wore shoes that fit on her feet, shoes that went above the ankle but did not exceed past the mid-calf, shoes the color of night. Shoes the color of onyx or ebony, or a peg shopping bag from a novelty sex shop where we'd be embarrassed if the general public saw its contents. They were black. These shoes were black, but not just black. They were shiny too. Not shiny in a polished leather kind of way, not shiny like brand new wellies. They were shiny like diamonds. Along the threads that stitched them together were shiny bands of ribbon so bright they would make emeralds look like your typical cashier at Tesco. I'm talking dull, which is what they were not. They were so bright you couldn't help but notice them when she walked by. These shoes were so bright you would burn your eyes out to look at them too long, but you would want to look at them because they were perfect. They were flawless. They were such works of art. They didn't belong on her feet. They belonged in the Tate Modern. But what did she do? She wore them. She wore them like nobody could because they were hers. These shoes, from the tip of the toe to the back of the heel, from the bottom of the sole to the top of the eyelets, they were hers. These shoes that would have traumatized a man with a serious foot fetish, they were hers. She wouldn't let anyone near them. These brilliant gems of foot apparel, these bright beacons would have saved 1,000 ships from certain death from a rocky coast during a squall. These shoes that were made for walking just as much as they were made for blinding, they were hers. I don't even know if she took them off for bed. Whatever she did, they were just too precious to even touch. They had such long, lustrous laces threaded through such lovely eyes. Their soles didn't seem to touch the ground, and yet they left such intricate patterns in her wake. When I spoke to her, I couldn't help but let my eyes drift down to her feet. But one day, she waved goodbye, and all I could do was watch as those shoes walked out of my life forever. The last poet who died this week was not a slam poet. He was actually a banker, one of the people responsible for the financial crisis we had a few years back. Decided that he saw what was going to happen, decided to get out of the banking business before he lost his job and probably his life, and turned his hand to poetry. He had been trying for a number of days, about 4, I believe, to get published. And unfortunately, he didn't get anything published, so he decided to take a job as a writer of fortunes and cookies and jokes in Christmas crackers. When I found out that he had died, I went to the local Chinese restaurant and bought a pack of 24 Chinese fortune cookies and pieced together the poem as I believe he had intended. There are wings folded beneath your skin. Open them. Some men are really boys. Others are really women. What were you thinking when you chose that wallpaper? You might have left your keys beside the boot scraper. Love is a baby wrapped in sandpaper, sitting on a sofa made of jelly. The world is your salad bowl, unless it's your deli. The storm will come down upon you, all rain and thunders. If you build it, they might not bother. Advertising works wonders. Don't ask for bacon in a cafe marked vegetarian, you have been warned. Don't mess with a lover who's recently been scorned. Books are made to open, but they're also made to close. Every silver lining just might help grow a rose. Fingers in many pies is better than fingers bitten by magpies. Live your life like every day is a constant surprise. Don't do it! That way, you'll never know. It doesn't matter which direction, all you have to do is go. You will cross a large body of water. It used to be warm. It's only going to get hotter. Blue skies will come when you least expect them. Looking for Mr. Right? Google will help you find him. These walls contain your deepest thoughts. We were made to love. We are not robots. Help, I'm stuck in a factory, forced to write these words. Fly like a feather, they're lighter than birds. To the memory of Maurice Stevenson. And next, I would like to introduce a poet who is not dead, at least last I checked. I give you Mantie Lister.
Thank you. Okay, so this poem I'm not going to introduce because I think the title says it all. It's called Fried Egg. I am not a fried egg. You can't order me sunny side up because you see, in order for me to be sunny, the pan must be scalding hot like the fights I've known and the stings I've felt, stronger than a wasp's anatomy. The oil must bubble and spit as though the words my mother called me when I turned 18, leaving the cage of home, wings slow to ruffle and shake from the sides of me. I am not a fried egg. You can't order me sunny side up and expect to dip in and out of the yolk of me. My sunny side wouldn't be without the clear liquid that stiffens and hardens, surrounding me under the heat of experience. I am not a fried egg. You can't order me sunny side up and think that your buttery fingers will soldier me on as the mornings pass and the coffee weakens, the papers lie curled, unopened, unread. Thank you. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I like to imagine fairy tale characters dying. So here we go. Goldilocks. They wonder if she heard the snap of bones or the fissure of each nerve disconnecting as she landed on the doorstep. The autopsy states half-digested porridge, internal bleeding, forced entry. The occupants were out, a solid tri-alibi. The bed in the child's room is covered in torn sheets and sweat. The window, like the gaping hole of a scream, is open. 3 teddy bears sit in the corner, eyes cast to the floor, mouth stitched. That's that one. I watched a documentary, which I'm sure lots of you have watched, called Blackfish, about horrible SeaWorld and their treatment of the whales. And then I was going to a thing where I had to write an animal poem, and I sort of went for this. It's called Tillicum. I have seen mothers scream for their children who, seized by captors, are sold for slavery to play tricks for men who cheer and clap and shout more. They are fed in fish in isolation. I have heard a shaking fear being called through the windows that are tapped on by clients selecting the mammal they think should dance for them. I have known the small, dank cells that are hidden in darkness while shiny smiles jingle and promise an ocean of knowledge. While the circling seesaw of a forced pod bubbles under the illusion of Stockholm Syndrome. And the horror of whale song pitches and breaks with every new trick and twist. In the end, when the circus is done, once we are dizzy from the reality of a YouTube upload, we finally call for freedom. Thank you. Okay, I'm whizzing through. And this one is called Russian Doll. I kind of just wrote it because I really like Russian dolls. And I was looking at one. One. He unpicked the layers of her with the dexterity of a harpist, and loved how her cheeks blossomed as he got closer to her core. He twisted her skin until the wood began to split, and her little red dress had cracks in it. She couldn't imagine a more dangerous past than this. To be peeled away skin by skin, turn by turn, shell by shell, stripped away. 2. She'd grown up in concrete, the wrong side of the western wall. Her father fought with velvet and took her to the clock tower in the old town where he spoke of lovers dancing in heaven, a princess who'd been slain for loving the wrong man at the wrong time. 3. She'd always smiled when the lover called her his Russian doll. He was too stupid to tell the difference between the two languages. She spoke as her father did, in a strong Czech dialect, enacting her own revolution between the velvet sheets. That's that for it. And then this one is, I'm a teacher, so, with children, and I was overhearing a conversation between some kind of like older people, and it really annoyed me, and I didn't say anything, and that really annoyed me even more. And then in a very healthy / passive-aggressive way, I wrote a poem about it. So it's called Blackberry. The conversation is peppered with references to O-levels and CSEs and how young kids today don't even know all of the counties. I hold myself back, keep my tongue in check because the spars are barbed and I'm ready to wreak havoc on your archaic exposition. But I don't, because even though I know you're wrong, my mother's words ring. Respect your elders. Respect your elders, and so my mouth is stitched, done, shut, but I have to question why you are so keen to verbally abuse my vocation, because it's not about the holidays, and the children's hoodies are not a uniform of anarchy. We are tasked to raise achievement, but achievement to me is not the third of the children I teach attaining a 5B, or Fisher Family Trust predictions based on home life, shared parenting, low incomes. You are misinformed, misled by a bureaucracy that is intrinsically linked to whichever party the majority of society is least disengaged with this term. I teach lessons, not levels, and so that is why when two boys aged 14 were so engaged in the story behind the media's role in the writing of The Charge of the Light Brigade, they wrote ballads based on a news about a man forced to put his dog down, and that touched me, and that is why I turn up every day and do 7:30 to 7:30 and mark on Sundays. The conversation is peppered with a skewed interpretation of your version of today's youth. My mouth is stitched, done shut in respect, because maybe you're just scared that children today know how to make more than just jam with a Blackberry. No. Thank you very much. The next poet who take this turn on this stage, is a wonderful gentleman who I've had the pleasure of seeing perform many times. I've been told his poetry, his themes are black and white, but I'm sure his imagery is much more colourful than that. I'd like you to give a warm welcome to James Turner.
I was born in a library. I spent most of my life as earning my living as an unqualified library assistant. I retired and I now do voluntary work in a library. And one of my leisure activities is browsing second-hand bookshops And recently I found a book in there with the title, I Have a Dream. And it was an anthology, and it includes the text of Martin Luther King's fine, inspiring speech about the brotherhood of man, really. Black and white living together. I had a dream. While I was in it, I grew happier every minute. Said, I want to remember this, all of it, the long and the short and the tall of it, and write it down just for the fun of it. But can I remember it? None of it. Alone, not lonely. Memory, a shell-shock rubble. I'm just a sliver of what I could be. I'm not a child or an idiot, just getting old. Too late now to teach me to be good. There's a smell of gas in the cupboard under the stairs, but human anger is the only firework I'm afraid of, at the mistakes I make. Wrong choices, wrong assumptions, clumsy hand movements. Oh, the saucers I've broken. And a fair bit of forgetting. Living with somebody can be lonely. But living with you isn't, because you let me be alone sometimes, and that's lovely. I'm not stupid, and I know you know that. But I can feel my senior moments growing longer, also more frequent, as if they felt lonely, kept apart by lucid intervals, and longed to join hands to form a continuum. The most I can hope for is the least I can hope for. Even so, I can be trusted sometimes. I love you to bits, but part of me is this solitary bastard. And you know instinctively to leave him alone to wander the footloose streets. Alone to write poems like this, which I should let you see before I read them out in public on Valentine's Day. I hope you'll forgive me, you always do, or have done so far. Alone to take a train to Torquay in February, to walk from the station to Kent's Cavern, to buy a ticket for a tour of the caves, to drink black coffee while I wait, to look around and realize I'm the only customer. I look at my ticket. It's number 1. I look out of the window at the wind-driven drizzle, wonder if the caffeine has begun to work. Most likely I'm just happy. The toilets are called cavemen and cavewomen. When I come out, Terry the tour guide is looking for me. Just me and Terry in the caves. He addresses me like a public meeting, and I like it. Stalagmites and stalactites are slow to grow here, he says, and points to a spike that points down from the roof. A hollow tube so fragile a baby could snap it with its finger, he says. He lets me touch with my finger a plastic replica of a tooth that belonged to a bear that died in this cave. He introduces me to a life-size model of William Pengelly, self-taught archaeologist. If it hadn't been for him and excavators like him, we'd have had to crawl the circuit on our stomachs. There's something about William I take to at once. The way he holds his notebook, the tilt of his top hat, the curls of his black beard. How could anyone not want to marry him? Terry picks up a scallop shell and holds it in the palm of his hands. It contains a fire-blackened mass of moss soaked in oil. Prehistoric visitors used animal fat. Then he produces a cigarette lighter, cheating, he says, and a big, bright flame leaps up from the shell. Then he switches off the cave lights. We can see each other, and the walls and floor flicker faintly in the dark. The flame is alive. It is 2 or 3 flames dancing together, separating, merging. Then he blows out the flame to show me how it was for the first Neanderthals to venture in. It must have been in darkness as black as this that human intelligence first awakened. This is the last poem I'm going to read, and I don't think there's anyone after me, so it must be the last poem in the evening, and it's called Dissidence. The average bird is no respecter of your national boundaries. Consider the little egret. Climate change opportunists, they flocked in from the south to patrol our estuary waterline, their figure-hugging feathers whiter than any flag. The first arrivals made bird watchers twitch. Now they outnumber herons. Ask a bunch of little egrets to fill in a form, they only blink at you as if to say, you wait until the dissidents are in power. Gender, age range, total number of attendees with registered disability, ethnic grouping, all left blank white, soft and final as the down on their breasts. All information will be kept confidential and used only for securing funding at the St. Sidwell Centre. Not impressed. They turn away their sharp spears and crests a-quiver, take off on ghost-white wings, and vanish in the direction of glistening mudflats, their home, to feed, breed, and beautify the furled girdle that tightens round our dying, fallen world. Thank you very much for coming. And a big thanks from all the performers, and I hope the audience too, to Dan the Raptor, who got all this started. Okay, good night.